Welcome to Pods with Posh and Paul, a podcast designed to inspire and challenge listeners through story, experience and insight. To face adversity, learn from suffering and discover how to embrace life with a heart filled with love and gratitude. We are so thrilled to have you journey with us and can't wait to share your stories. Join Sue O'Callaghan and Joanne Webb as we disrupt the theory that everyone has perfect lives. For those of you worried that you have no idea what you want to do, Tom Hall Taylor's message to teens is clear. There is no necessity to define a set career path when leaving school. Deciding uni wasn't for him, Tom left home aged 18 to work in retail before discovering that wasn't for him either. Drawn then to the glamorous and exciting world of travel, he embarked on a 5-month trip through Europe, but describes the experience as not all it was made out to be, but more like a full-time job. Now about to embark on a bachelor's degree of commerce with economics and finance at Victoria University in Wellington, Tom is positive in embracing doors that both open and close, and has a healthy mindset moving forward, embracing opportunities that come his way.
Hi Tom, thanks for joining us today.
No worries, thanks for having me.
So Tom, how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
And you live in Auckland?
Yes.
And you've just been travelling?
I have, for about 5 months, yeah.
Nice. So where did you go?
We started in England, so we stayed in London to begin with, and then moved a few other places for about a month and a half. And in that time I did a bit of work, sort of met up with relatives, and just hung out with my mate, to be honest, seeing new things. It was a pretty cool experience. And after that we sort of went around to a few other places like France. We went to Switzerland for a festival, went to Barcelona for a bit, and it was completely unplanned. You know, we didn't have a plan to go to 20 countries overall. It was literally, we've got a budget going in and we'll just see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So Tom, you left school in year 13. You decided,
yes.
You weren't quite sure about university or what you were going to do, so you decided to go off travelling. And for our listeners who don't know what they want to do, we've already spoken about that's quite a big thing at your age, isn't it? Not knowing what you want to do.
Yes, for sure. I had no idea what I wanted to do coming out of school. I always had a sort of business mind, and I always loved entrepreneurial ventures. But yeah, and that's kind of what made me pull out of uni last minute last year. I was going to go to Auckland, hit January, and I was like, you know what, no, I'm going to go to Queenstown, I'm going to find a job, I'm going to meet some new people, going to live alone for the first time and just try some new things. And that saved enough money for me to go travelling. And yeah, I lived a crazy year last year, to be honest. I'm so thankful I did, because if I went straight into university, I would have been lost. I would have gone straight from a system to another system and never had time to sort of reflect on how my life is actually going. So yeah.
It's pretty courageous though, just to go off and do something new.
Yeah.
And in that time then, you decided you want to go to university after all. So you're starting university in another week and a half time. You're going down to Wellington to study...
Yes. To study finance and economics.
And even then you said that's not necessarily what you want to end up doing.
No. So that's the thing. This sort of last year, I've just found that going into new ventures, new activities is just the best thing you can do. Every time you feel that sort of butterfly feeling where you're exiting your comfort zone, it always benefits you no matter what. And so going into this year, just going to try that exact thing, you know. I don't know what uni's like. I've heard good things about it, bad things about it. At the end of the day, it's just a new experience. And, you know, at the end of the day, I want to have my own large business. That's the goal. And I don't know if university will help me get there, but it might open up opportunities to do so. So, yeah.
That's really cool what you say, like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, because obviously when you just started speaking, oh yeah, I went travelling, been to so many countries, went down to Queenstown, decided to live on my own. It sounded quite flippant.
Yeah.
It sounded like, you know, you're all sure of yourself.
Yeah.
But actually you weren't. You were not in your comfort zone at all.
No, not at all. It was completely outside and there was no plan, and that's the thing. I think people, they want a clear vision in life, they want something specific, and they're definitely influenced by other people. But I think, you know, these are how those paths are created. People just do what they want to do at the time and try something new. That's how my path went.
Do you feel like you've grown a lot within the last year?
Yes. I was, to be honest, last year of high school, I became extremely shy, like pretty insecure. just because of the whole pressures of this. I just found school just like this weird kind of social system, and like it's almost like its own little society, and I didn't work too well with it, especially in the last year. I wanted so much more, and yeah.
I think you've hit on a really important topic there, actually, because I think lots of people at school do struggle in year 12 and 13, and sometimes all the way through socially. You think everyone's part of a social set, you think everyone's really happy or doing well, but actually a lot of people are very lost.
For sure. I think social media is a big, influencer on that. We spend so much time on it. It's a huge part of our generation, and I highly doubt you could scroll through anyone's social media feed and find any honest content of people feeling sad, because everyone feels sad sometimes, but it's never displayed. It's all happy photos, everyone having a good time constantly, and I think that affects people quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it affects, and especially teenagers when they're not quite sure of their identity and who they are and where they fit into the world, and we see that everybody looks like they've got perfect lives. It's quite hard, isn't it, to deal with?
Yeah.
So tell us then, at your age, you need mentoring, you need people, you need good role models. Where do you find that, or is it hard to find?
It is hard to find, but if you have an idea of what you want to do at the time, they always come around. Like if you decide one day, you know what, I'm going to go into graphic design. There are so many graphic design Instagram accounts out there in the exact same situation as you. There's so many humans that are willing to support you and help you and just talk to you, really. So that's a huge point. My best friend, or a few of my best friends are all business minded, and that hasn't just come overnight. That's just come by doing my thing and eventually meeting them, and that opens up the more you do what you love. That's what I'll say.
And I think that's really true, and I think the more you're authentic to yourself, you find your tribe, don't you? You find those other people who are living in the similar values
100%.
to you.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I can't agree more.
What about emotional support? Because it's a pretty tough time, isn't it, going through teen years, trying to find your identity. Is there much emotional support out there, especially for boys?
See, that's the thing. I'd say, having good friends is probably the best thing. Having a good, having nice parents, huge for me, that you can just talk to openly about anything. But in terms of support other than that, I'm pretty oblivious to it, to be honest. I don't know what there was. Like, you sometimes see ads and it's like, we can help you, and, there are depression centers and stuff. But to me, that all sounds a little bit daunting. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to, just go into this. It's like giving up almost, going to one of those places. I feel like there needs to be more indirect support where that, people can be inspired by and listen to and learn from.
It's interesting you say that, because we were talking earlier about the role of counselling psychologists and so on, therapists. It's quite daunting, although there's obviously extraordinary people out there. It's quite daunting to say, actually, I need help. Well, most people don't need help. They just need to have conversations. They need to normalise things that are happening in their life. So you found your peer group are really important to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I think there are times where people aren't always in the right peer group and they get stuck with certain people. And if you don't have the courage to venture outside of that and start talking to optimistic people rather than pessimistic, it's so important, because...
Well, they say, don't they, you are a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so you've got to be really careful who you do spend time with, don't you, and who you offer your energy to.
Oh, for sure. That's where your time goes, and if those people are judging you for what you're doing, what you're wearing, what you look like, it's never going to end up well for your mental health. No way. So if you can sort of tell the people you hang out with, what you do enjoy and what you're currently doing, you just want them to say, that's awesome, bro, congrats on that.
Yeah. And
maybe they'll come up with critique and ideas and stuff to help you. And if you have people like that, I think your mental health will be in so much better shape.
Yeah, I agree, because there's so many teenagers nowadays, and because I think of social media, it's so easy to say things that you wouldn't necessarily see somebody's face. There's a lot of, I don't even know if they realise it's bullying, but they say things that are so direct and so hurtful via social media that you do have to be really careful who you talk to, as I say.
Yeah.
Also, what's interesting, I think, is you talked about social media. People have these glamorous lives, and you might look at a podcast or a YouTuber who's a traveller, photographer, and it looks incredible. But you've had a different experience. Tell us about the hardships of travelling, because it's not all glamorous, is it?
No, it really
Give us the
isn't.
truth, Tom.
So that was the thing. Like, I knew I wanted to travel, and I wasn't exactly sure why. I think I just wanted to, exit my comfort zone. And you have all the photos, people posing in Barcelona and Italy, all these nice glamorous photos. It's got the nice lighting. It's pure utopia, right? But me personally, I got to those nice extravagant buildings and just thought, oh, well, that's a building. I get those in Auckland. There are a few cool places there. To me, it was everything that happened in between. It was catching flights every day, training overnight, sleeping. I almost treated traveling like a bit of a job. Obviously, it's cool. It's awesome. It's a good job to have for sure if you're enjoying it. But it is still a job. It's, it depends what your plan is, but a lot of people have to move around a lot, and that's not as glamorous as it sounds doing, 20 countries in Europe or whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah.
And you said that you'd be walking for kilometres with your big back.
Yeah,
bag on your
walking
back.
with my huge backpack. That was one example. We stopped off in Barcelona after a 16-hour bus ride from Zurich, and we had to walk 2 hours with a sort of 25-kilogram backpack up a huge hill. Like, it was honestly ridiculous. It was like proper exercise, but that was all part of it. You look back on that and you think, yeah, that was cool.
Sorry, I was going to say, did you have moments of finding people who were really kind and generous while you were away? Did you have good experiences like that?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the main one was with especially my parents' friends that we stay with. They've been friends for so long, and when we went to them, it was just amazing. Just such great people to hang out with and actually just be with, and they're always happy to have you in your home for a couple of days because it's they're meeting people from the other side of the world, and there's cool new things to talk about and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, for sure, everyone's friendly in the right places if you know where to hang out. So yeah.
So obviously when you're travelling, like anything else you're doing, working or at school, there's highs and lows.
Yeah.
What was the biggest lesson you learned about yourself in the lows?
One of the lows, I'd say, was when you're with the same person for so long. I mean, sometimes it can work perfect the entire time. For me, yeah, there were times where you'd have little fallouts and stuff like that over not much, and that's just from being around each other for so long. Mm-hmm. And in those times, I just felt pure anger sometimes over nothing, and it was in a headspace you couldn't avoid. And I actually just learnt things. I don't know if it was about my personality or just humans in general, that's how it works. But I learnt, I can be angry sometimes. I can go into stroppy moods over nothing. And I think learning to control that is something I've definitely learnt from. Yeah.
And you're going into Hall of Residence. Do you think that's a skill you can take with you in a Hall of Residence?
Yes, for sure. Hall of it's 400 kids or something in the hall. If I did that this time last year, I would have been so much less confident. I've gained so much social confidence this year. It's ridiculous. Especially coming out of year 13 where I was so shy. It'll be walking around the streets, kind of head down, wouldn't want to see anyone. Now I'm much more, up-chested and open to just meeting new people, and that's the thing. Maybe I wasn't ready for the halls this time last year, but doing the travel experience has kind of opened that for me, and that comes back to the trying new things.
That's really cool. It's a really clear message as well, isn't it? So everybody, and it actually for teens or for adults, everybody should be trying new things and put themselves out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and there's not necessarily a set path or a career path. We're on a journey, and we take in the good bits, we take the highs with us, we learn about ourselves, but we learn as much probably in the lows, and it's all about getting us ready for the next place we're going to go to.
Yeah.
Before we finish, I want to ask you one last question. You obviously got a business head on you.
Yes.
Tell us about your business strategies and where you're at with your businesses.
So recently I founded a show organizer for drum and bass events. I kind of sparked the idea from a friend who just loves that genre of music, and we actually did a show in late 2018 which did okay, and I kind of helped with it, but we knew, I personally knew that I wanted something so much better. I wanted to come back from something that wasn't as good as what it is, and so I've founded a company called Velocity, and we've done one show today which was in late January, and we sold 450 tickets and sold out the venue and made a nice profit, and pretty much opened the opportunity to more shows and to expand the business. So I've got a show coming up in April, on April 3rd at AV Club in Auckland City, and I've got a show booked in Dunedin which will come a bit later on. That's actually not announced yet, but
wow,
yeah.
Wow, isn't that exciting?
And I think going to Wellington will open opportunities for more shows and stuff, and it's just a business that can kind of go into anything. I see it as drum and bass events right now, as music events, but it can be so much more the more creative I become, linking podcasts to that, we're going to do like a radio show, where people can show off their music that they've mixed, all that kind of stuff. So we want to add the sort of social media side to our events and make it more than just one night out. That kind of thing.
So awesome. It's very,
so
very
you're going
inspiring.
to university, you're running businesses, clearly you're setting up lots of small businesses, and I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say the word opportunity, because actually you've grabbed opportunities at your way, but in that you haven't necessarily known the direction, you haven't known what route you want to take.
No.
So the message to listeners would be what?
Try new things, be open and meet anyone that comes in front of you, and I'll give one more example. The guy I met in that scene, I wouldn't have found out about drum and bass if it wasn't for driving him home from football one day. That's all it took. I could have said, "Nah, sorry, bro, car's full." But I was like, "No, man, come, like, whatever." And he literally told me about his business ventures. I told him about mine, and then boom, new business formed just after that day.
And we totally believe in the law of attraction, don't you? We totally believe the universe has your back, and your story's basically...
Yeah, I fully agree with that as well. It is when you look back on things like that, you think, how did that fall into place? But then, to be honest, it was always going to.
Yeah.
Trust.
Well, Tom, I'd like to say good luck at university, but I think it's good luck in all areas of your life. I think you're a yes man, and you're going to take all the opportunities that come your way. So, Tom,
for sure will.
Tom Hall Taylor,
as well.
Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being with us today. For us to inspire others to live their magnificently imperfect life, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or on your podcast app. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Pods with Posh and Pool. We can't wait for you to join us on our next episode. Love, light and peace.